Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Des Reacts back with another video. Today we're checking out Squadron, Shadowy British Special Forces unit. If I remember correctly, Squadron is part of the SAS, and we know all those guys are all about, and those dudes are beasts, one of a kinds, one of the best fighting forces in the world. So this is gonna give me a little more insight to like what those guys actually are, I hope. And I hope you guys had a great summer so far. You guys should expect me to be consistent this summer. Expect quite a few videos this week. Thank you guys for rocking me. Please hit that sub button if you haven't. Hit a like on the video and leave a comment on your guys' thoughts on this. Let's get into it.
From snazzy tuxedos to super cool gadgets, from elite shooting training to fake names and all that cool espionage stuff. Our video today explores the Squadron of the British Special Forces. Elite Special Forces unit has been rumored to carry out 007-like operations. So if you ever want to meet a real-life James Bond, then you just have to find one of these guys. The Squadron is a top-secret group, and from this video you will find out how many major events they've been involved in from the shadows. So let's begin. History of the Squadron. The British military was a forerunner in modern special operations forces, establishing the first modern units during World War II. Since then, British Special Operations units have led the way, developing doctrine and tactics, techniques and procedures that are now used globally, including in the United States.
So yeah, no, that's one of the crazy things, man. The SAS, they're like the forefathers of, what we know as special operations today. Those dudes pioneered it. Those dudes were badass, man. Innovated and overcame the World War II struggles. Like those dudes, who knows where the world would be at today if it wasn't for someone creating the SAS. Obviously, a special forces unit would have been, eventually created, but, who knows how long it would have taken, what tactics we'd be using now instead of then. So it's crazy to think about.
Special Air Service, Special Boat Service, and Special Reconnaissance Regiment are the three main Tier 1 units in the British military. The first two are the British equivalents of the US's Delta Force and SEAL Team 6, with whom the British units collaborate and even exchange operators. They focus on direct action, counter-terrorism, and hostage rescue operations. In addition, the SRR specializes in gathering human intelligence and signals intelligence, and operational battlefield preparation.
Imagine if you're an enemy, man, and SAS and Delta Force, like if you knew that those dudes were gonna be coming after you, I mean, what goes through your head? Like if you run into those dudes, you're dying. Like you're not coming out of that. Like those dudes aren't backing out until they get the job done. So that'd be a pretty crazy thing to think about. Like if you're an enemy and you got the world's best soldiers coming after you, it's cooked. Like you done.
The British Ministry of Defence is currently working to modernize the country's special operations units to reflect lessons learned from combat in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Africa over the last 2 decades. Surprisingly, the British are basing their modernization process on the evolution of U.S. Special Operations Forces during the last 40 years. The instructor has gradually morphed into the student. In other cases, however, intelligence agencies require the specific abilities and training of commandos. This is when Squadron enters the picture.
So no, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so they changed up the tactics a little bit. Like they're learning from the U.S. tactics now, which it makes sense just due to the fact that U.S. has the #1 military in the world. I mean, with like defense budget, all that, you could get into all the politics about it, but there's a reason why America doesn't have free healthcare. You know what I mean? Because our military is just dominant. They probably just spend tireless hours just developing new strategies, new techniques to get the job done or quicker and safer probably. So it's cool that they learn from the US, just like the US had to learn from the SAS, right? And the British forces. So man, it's pretty cool to think about.
3 agencies make up the British intelligence organization. The British version of the CIA is the Secret Information Service, SIS, sometimes known as MI6. It specializes in overseas intelligence collecting and covert action. The British also have the Security Service, popularly known as MI5, which is the equal of the FBI in terms of domestic counterintelligence. Finally, the counterpart of the NSA is the Government Communications Headquarters, GCHQ, which specializes in signals intelligence. Now that we're all caught up with the history and the units in Britain, let's dive into the E Squadron. Reports of a hidden division of the UK SAS known simply as the Increment first appeared in the mainstream news in 2003. The Increment, described as a team straight out of a James Bond novel, is said to carry out sanctioned killings and other very risky and elusive assignments, like killing political leaders or terrorists. The UK Committee on
Bro, those dudes they're badass, bro. Like, they send those dudes to go take out the top dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the type of dudes where if you're a regular soldier or whatever and those dudes walk through the room, you're just like, oh shit, or oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? Hair stand up in the back of the neck. Like, those dudes are cold.
Foreign Affairs noted and analyzed these reports, suspecting that the information leak was the product of coordination between the UK and Israeli intelligence services. This appears to imply that the UK intelligence community is aware of such an organization. However, how much does the general public know about the Increment, and does it even exist? In the early 2010s, the first formal reports of a new SAS elite branch surfaced. Initially, a more informal and loosely organized cadre of SAS men aided MI6 activities. The Revolutionary Warfare Wing, RWW, includes the Increment. The unit was eventually formalized and dubbed the E Squadron.
And are those the dudes, correct me if I'm wrong, are those the dudes that that took out the embassy, like cleared the freaking terrorists? Like, it was like all broadcasted on the news and stuff. Those are those guys, right?
Which remains the Increment's most recent organizational change. While it is hard to confirm with the material at hand, the Increment is most likely charged with a variety of highly specialized secret military services, such as threat monitoring, agent running, and intelligence collecting. What does the E Squadron do? E Squadron, one of the most mysterious of all British Special Forces units, is a small cell of UK SF operatives handpicked to work with the Secret Intelligence Service, SIS, also known as MI6. E Squadron is thought to be available for assignment to both the United Kingdom Special Forces, UKSF Directorate, and the SIS. The modern-day incarnation of the long-rumored MI6 UKSF unit known as the Increment is said to be E Squadron. The unit is thought to be manned by Special Air Service, Special Boat Service, and Special Reconnaissance Regiment veterans. It may receive
Okay, so they pull from like all the different branches of the SAS, or like the special forces across the, UK military. Yeah, they're handpicked, so I mean, you're getting the best of the best with everyone with different skill sets, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty sweet.
Signals, electronic warfare, and logistics support from appropriate attached units such as 18 Signals Regiment members. Assets from the Joint Special Forces Aviation Wing, JSFAW, such as RAF-7 Squadron Chinook helicopters, are available as needed. The role of the E Squadron is to carry out covert operations for the SIS. The SIS is Britain's foreign intelligence service, and its agents work in countries all over the world. They create and manage agents, form alliances with various factions within foreign countries, and collect intelligence from a variety of sources. Since the September 11th terrorist attacks, operating in more hostile regions has become more of a necessity.
Man, American or not, I'm sure, seeing it across the world, I bet you everybody knew, like, oh man, like, it was just a crazy, tragic day. I feel like for the world, obviously USA, we celebrated every 9/11, but it had to be a sight, even for the foreigners.
And MI6 missions are more likely to require Special Forces escorts. As a result, E Squadron is likely to have participated in several operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. The extent to which the UKSF element of E Squadron would be used in an offensive scenario is unknown at this time. The E Squadron, which is made up of operators from other Special Forces units, is regarded as the elite within the elite. Though frequently confused with the Special Projects Team, the role of E Squadron is to carry out clandestine military operations for the Secret Intelligence Service in countries all over the world. They create and manage agents, form alliances with various factions within foreign countries, and collect intelligence from a variety of sources. At this time, it is unknown to what extent E Squadron would be used in an offensive scenario. Women are not permitted in active roles within E Squadron, as they are in the SAS and SBS, but they are permitted in administrative and management roles as of 2017.
And as a 2023 culture, I'm going to ask you guys in the comment section, how do we feel about that? You know, how do we feel about them not allowing women to be in it? Like, they're technically, what's that called? Like, they're purposely segregating them from that unit. They're discriminating against them. How do you feel about that? I mean, it should be interesting. I feel like, you know, me personally, I got no problem with it. I mean, get a really good superwoman, get a superwoman, get a superman, type of soldier, right? At the end of the day, the man's probably gonna have more endurance, more stamina, more strength, more speed, quicker decision making. Who knows? I personally agree with it, but let me know how you guys think about it. Because obviously there's women in the SBS. I think they said the SAS right there. So, those ones are fine, right? Like, they can obviously get the job done, but I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts.
The squadron's specialized training allows them to operate in a variety of climates and environments. It, like the rest of the regiment, is headquartered at Creedon Hill, a former RAF base. The primary mission of E Squadron is to collaborate with MI6, the Secret Intelligence Service, on high-level missions all over the world. They work in small, isolated groups and have access to the entire arsenal of James Bond gadgets created by the Spy's Q section. The unit was originally known as the Revolutionary Warfare Wing, or RWW, but MI6 spies referred to it as the Increment. Andy McNabb, an SAS legend, served with the unit for 3 years from 1991 to 1993, following his patrol in the First Gulf War, which he chronicled in his book Bravo 20. He claimed that the unit was the most similar to what James Bond does of any British Secret Service. But nearly 30 years later, he said his work was still too secret to reveal. The running joke was that you had to be able to fit in at an embassy do or a whorehouse in Istanbul, Andy told The Sun. In 2011, the Increment aided Libyan rebels in deposing Colonel Gaddafi. Originally, the Increment consisted of only 6 to 8 men, almost always sergeants or above, and hand-picked from the SAS. We were moving in and out of countries on different paths.
Interesting. So yeah, like I said, these dudes are used to, assassinate political leaders and figures. Like, they are that good, right? Like, it makes you wonder, how much the US, UK, whatever, dictated elections and who they wanted to win the election by maybe sometimes going and killing another political leader, like in countries we don't know about, for whatever reason. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that.
Passports, said another former member who did not want to be identified. Always in civvies, always on the move. It was a busy day. It was James Bond stuff. Just use your imagination. Its members are well known for not always dressing like soldiers. Some people speak foreign languages and can pass themselves off as foreign nationals. You had to be able to blend in, the ex-member added. People were chosen based on their ability to perform undercover work. While some MI6 officers have firearms training, it is never to the same level as their E Squadron counterparts. Although the mission sets of E Squadron are classified, open source evidence implies that the unit supplies manpower to MI6 missions across the world. Close protection details, in which they basically operate as bodyguards, as well as exfiltrating assets from performing special reconnaissance in and supporting covert action in restricted locations, such as Russia, Iran, China, or North Korea, are examples of their tasks. E Squadron agents operate secretly, assuming names and fabricating backstories. In 2011, the British government played a significant role in the battle to depose Libyan ruler Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. In addition to MI6, British Special Operations troops, particularly E Squadron operatives, saw limited combat in the nation while performing special reconnaissance and close protection. However, during the insertion, an E Squadron operation was compromised, resulting in the detention of many operators who were subsequently freed and the embarrassment of the British authorities. The E Squadron selection process. Although E Squadron once recruited mostly from the SAS, it now recruits from throughout the British Tier 1 community, with SBS and SRR operatives now joining the clandestine organization. E Squadron selects applicants depending on their ethnic origin, a reminder of the UK's colonial heritage and the fact that persons from many other nations, such as Fiji, Malta, or Jamaica, can join the British Armed Services.
Okay, yeah. So they're basically like, Delta Force, right? Like they pull from, different branches, I'm sure, right? Like it's not just all one branch, unlike SEAL Team 6. But like, yeah, other than that, I mean, it's pretty dope. Like you get the best of the best from everywhere.
The British military uses this transparency to its advantage. British nationals of Pakistani, Indian, Yemeni, Syrian, or Nigerian origin can enlist and gradually advance to the SAS, SBS, or SRR. They would be considered for service in E Squadron if they perform well in a demanding environment, complete several overseas deployments, and shine beyond the direct action and counter-terrorism aspects of the job, such as reliably working on their own to conduct the low-visibility work that prepares the operational environment. They would have to go through an extra selection process as well as a rigorous training session that would prioritize intelligence tradecraft over additional special operations capabilities. In conclusion, you know very little about them. There is a cloak of secrecy, and men who wind up there just vanish, according to a former SBS commando. But to be honest, it also happens in the regiment, the SAS, in my own previous unit, and in the SRR, the former commando remarked. Guys you may be close to will go on an assignment, and you will have no idea where they are or what they're doing. It's expected and part of the job. However, it is on an entirely different level with the E Squadron. The secret nature of the increment's missions necessitates maximum secrecy, which means an email leak could be a nightmare for operational security, burning commandos and excluding them from future operations abroad. What do you think of the United Kingdom's E Squadron? You'd never know if you were standing next to one of them. Who knows? It might be that person you have a crush on. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe as more exciting videos are on the way.
Yeah, wow. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. They're the best of the best for a reason, right? They're probably top 3 in the world. Maybe top 2. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is a pretty dope video. Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments. Please hit that sub button if you haven't. Smash that like button. Catch you guys on the next video. Peace.